What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another week and another episode of Unscripted, where we're bringing you professionals from all walks of life. We touch on their backstory, their mindset, and how they navigate through adversity and opposition. I'm your host, Akeem Haynes. Before we get into this week's episode of the show, do us a huge favor. Head to Apple Podcasts, Apple iTunes, Chartable.com, or Spotify, and leave a rating and review of the show. This small act goes a long way in moving the podcast forward. This week on the show, two-time Jamaican 100-meter champion, Olympian, Puma athlete, professional sprinter, Tyquendo Tracey joins me on the show. I really enjoyed my conversation with Tyquendo. He's had an interesting journey to get to where he is today. And I think we highlight parts of his journey throughout the episode. The transparency in this episode about how an athlete deals with injuries and disappointments was refreshing to hear. As someone who dealt with my fair share of disappointments in the sport while I was in it, I knew I wasn't alone, but there were times where I felt I was going through what I was going through alone. But as we go through this episode and we hear Tyquendo narrate his pain and how he turned into a positive and the importance of support, I really believe will be an encouragement for many athletes and people in general who might feel alone as well. So in this episode, we talk about growing up in Jamaica, lessons he learned from his grandmother and mother, how he started running track and field, his transition from high school to university, running on a fractured bone, disappointments at the 2015 World Championships, his breakout year in 2018, Olympic trials in the delayed games in 2021 for the Tokyo Olympics, how we dealt with a disappointment at the Tokyo Olympics, how we battled his state of depression, the importance of support, and what it was like, or what it is like, to be an ambassador for Lifespan Water, and so much more stories in between. I really enjoyed this episode, and I believe that you will too. But before you go, leave us a comment on our social media platforms or on YouTube. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what stuck out to you. And don't forget to subscribe to the show and to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss out on the visual episodes with more to come. So without further ado, enjoy the episode with Tyquendo Tracey. I saw you you posted a picture you laying on the track the other day, man. What type of workout was that?
Deadly. That was some breakdowns. 250, 180, 150, 120, 110. That was a Tuesday morning, so it was like one of the days when I have like my heaviest track workouts. So
body's good, healthy?
Yeah, right now everything is good. Everything is great. It's just it's like these days I try to train like 110, 20% every day, because I missed out on a few days, I would say, because of the injury from the Olympics. It's more annoying than I thought it would have been, because it's a tendon, and based on what most doctors have been saying is that it will take longer than a muscle would take to heal. So
So you have to be careful and kind of judge it day by day.
Between September and like November, like there are times when like it basically like, you know, it's almost like you start feeling it again. It's not like anything heavy, but it's like you just have a third sense that it's there, just the same. But something that they say I would have to continue working on, like just get it strong enough till it totally just goes away.
Yeah, man, and I want to get into that a little bit later, because I have a bunch of questions around that, and I know a lot of people have a lot of questions around that as well too. But first and foremost, man, I want to thank you for coming on, bro. I appreciate your time. I know you got training tomorrow probably, so we're gonna get this thing going, man. I want to start here. I'm big on gratitude. I believe if you're grateful for what you have in your life, it's hard to attack life in a negative state. So I want to ask you today, man, what are 3 things you're grateful for today?
Life, one, the ability to just be home right now and be around the people that I love the most and people that support me the most, and I'd say just to be lucky enough to have really good friends and be in a really good place in my life right now.
You just talked about support, man. I think it's important to highlight this because, you know, it's good to see that certain things in certain communities are starting to be supportive towards you and your accomplishments. Lifespan Springwater, man, you just became an ambassador for it, man. What's that like? I know it feels good. I mean,
it definitely feels good. I've known about them for the longest while. They literally have the best water in the country. I mean, they've won like 2 international awards that has to do with the quality of their waters, like being number 1. So they have really good products, and I'm definitely happy that we actually started like a partnership with each other, and you know they basically say, hey, listen, welcome to the family. You know, so that is really great for me.
You know, that's one of the things that I try and tell young athletes now, and kind of wish I would have did when I was running, you know, is trying to look for other ways to still make ends meet in a sense, you know, because not everybody is on the wicked contract deal, right? There's other ways that you can kind of make some income, and $5 here, $1,000 here, $200 here, all adds up. You know, I think
adds up.
Yeah. Do you? I want to ask you this, man, because I kind of know the answer to it because I've done it as well. What do you think is one of the main things that stops athletes from reaching that goal? I don't think it's necessarily the physical ability. I think sometimes it's the support. Would you backpack off that and say the same?
I would, to an extent, because I mean, I've known people with support and they still like just don't give it their all. I mean, you definitely need support. So support for me is like a big part of it, but then you have to want to do it just the same, because you have people who don't have a great amount of support, but they have enough. But in their mind, they're just not determined enough to use what they have to get more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Let's build some foundation here, man. We got to go back to Trelawney, back to the youth days, right? I read somewhere where your grandmother had 10 kids, so you had a big family. What?
I still do.
Yeah. What was the dynamics like that growing up for you, man? How did you navigate through that?
Well, growing up in Trelawney, I think we were kind of spread out, but nonetheless, I still had a lot of people, people as in family members around. It was very difficult to not meet somebody that I'm related to in Trelawney.
Yeah.
Like everywhere I would go, somebody would say, because my grandmother her name is Elizabeth Young. So most people would say that's Lizzie's grandson.
Yeah.
Or if I go somewhere and like, let's say just for argument's sake, I would go to the post office. I would say, instead of using my name, I would say, Miss Lizzie says, and they say, oh, okay.
Respect.
And get it done, because she's very well known in the parish. So Trelawney for me was a very fun time. Being in the hills, there's always some kind of fruits or trees around to climb, something to do. So it was a very fun time. And I mean, I have a lot of the scars to tell from all that adventure. So,
you know, definitely. There's as I've found, you know, my grandparents are from Westmoreland and my dad is from Trelawney. So there's something that we always learn, maybe directly or indirectly from our parents, from the community, that kind of sticks with us, right? Was there a lesson or a saying or a quote or a story that sticks with you to this day that kind of serves as a sense of encouragement?
I think that would have to be something that came from my older brother. I remember this once I was much younger when I was caught smoking.
Yeah.
He he said to me that because he smokes, but the thing is, he said to me that he knows me all my life, and he's always been smoking, and I've never even asked him or tried to smoke anything that he smokes. So in that moment, he said he knew that I wasn't doing it because I really wanted to. I was doing it because my friends were doing it. So he told me to make sure whatever you're doing in life, don't follow anyone. Always make sure that it's something that you want to do. Always make sure it's something that you want. So it's never to follow anyone. Try to set your own trends. And he told me that probably like 15, how old am I? Yeah, probably like 15 to 18 years old. I was like 10, 12 years old, I think. So yeah.
No, that's definitely an important one, man, because it's a lot of people follow, but a lot of people try to lead, but they don't even know where they're necessarily going into, right? I think you always got to stay true to yourself. I don't think many people know the origin story of how you got into the sport of track and field, right? Because in Jamaica, there's usually 3 sports that you're probably going to play: soccer, football, cricket, track.
Our track.
So how did you get involved in track and field? Because the culture in Jamaica and those things are strong.
I think I went through all 3, but it would be mostly track and football. Because my grandfather, he loves cricket. I'm a very good batsman, but I don't want to do anything else. So that's my issue with cricket. Yeah. I don't want to bowl, and I don't want to be on a field standing up in the sun.
It's hot.
So that one did not. It wouldn't have worked out for me personally. And then eventually,
shuffle my downloaded please.
Most of my uncles, cousins have been invested or involved in football for most of my life. So I've always been, even though my grandfather's always been on cricket.
Yeah.
Everybody else has always been playing football. And I did do a little bit of track and field in between maybe like 5th or 6th grade, but that was just to prove a point. You know, as kids, I'm faster than you, or just to prove a point. It was not like going to training every evening to practice track and field. No, it was just leaving probably a football, playing some ball, and then go square off to see who was faster. But then in high school, I was actually playing for my school at the time, and the soccer coach at the school, he was the one who told me that, hey, listen, Jamaica is like 1 in 100 of every good player in Jamaica is going to actually make it internationally.
Yeah.
Or probably maybe, let's say 2 in 1,000 is going to actually make it internationally. And most of the players that actually make it internationally and make something of themselves is people that generally, like, maybe their families from England and they are living over there, or they're probably living in the US, but they're Jamaican. But outside of that, it's almost like a waste of time. So it was like, I should stop wasting my time and come do something with my talent because I'm fast. And I mean, it took me some time to actually went over to it fully. And I actually didn't even start doing it seriously until like 2 years after I actually started with him, because I was still playing soccer in the meantime.
How old were you at this time?
When I initially started, I think I was like 16.
Oh, okay. So high school talks.
Yeah, high school. I was 16. And then when I really started was like 18 years old. So that was like my last 2 years of high school. 17, 18, yeah. 17, 15, started at 15. And then 17 to 18. Then that's when I really started in high school. I finished in the top 4 in the last year of competition in the high school level. But, I mean, after that, it was basically the senior level, and you basically know that realm that I stepped into in 2012. Yeah, that was the Asafas, the Bolts, the Nestas, the Mike. So I was way in the back, way in the back. I mean, I got accepted into college, full scholarship, and I was working on track and also my schoolwork, but mostly I was just enjoying school and life, and track was like third base, honestly. So like my first couple of years of college, it wasn't really like serious track and field compared to like my other counterparts like Julian Ford or maybe even Ronald Levio or whoever it was in the same age group. They were actually doing it more on a serious level. I was just doing enough to stay in school.
Yeah. Tyquendo, let me ask you this. You said it took you a while to start taking it seriously, right? From high school to university is a big switch, a big transition in many different ways. But who were you at the time in your personal development as a man, right? Because I think there are some times where we meet people, maybe it's a mentor or someone that kind of instills something in us that we probably didn't get growing up with certain, male figures per se, right? Because when I came to Canada, I met a man who helped me a lot. And I fought with that a little bit because I'm like, you don't look like me. 2, you don't know me like that. But as I started to see him take risks on me and invest in me a little bit, I'm like, okay, maybe this guy is okay. And he's one of my good friends to this day. So during this time, what type of thoughts were you seeking about you, the person? What were you trying to learn about you?
Honestly, I'm not even sure, because I mean, in that time, in that moment of me basically transitioning from high school to college, it was, I mean, I've had people around me, I still do have people around me who always encourage and try to push me to get to another level. But for the most part, it's like, it was always like, there's one person that I could say is basically constant from high school to today, that when it comes to encouragements, when it comes to drive, push, he has always been there. And I actually met him on a school bus leaving a track meet in high school. And he was talking to me and he was saying, like, yo, you got a lot of talent, yada, yada, yada. To be honest, even the first time I traveled, he was the reason that I actually got to travel. Because I needed funding and I couldn't get it. And like a couple weeks after, because I basically knew him for like maybe like 5-6 months in. And then I was saying it to him and he was like, what do you need? And I told him, and it was like, okay, I'll take it to you later. And I'm like, what?
I said the same thing.
I was like, what? I said, don't worry, I'll let you get it later. I was like, okay, fine. And that's how I actually started. That was the first time I went to America, because I needed the funding for the visa and the ticket at the time. And he was like, sure, I'll get it to you later. And, I've known him since we're really close. I still know him. We still talk every now and again today. I know whenever my phone rings, it's going to be like something over an hour of conversations.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I avoid it.
It's gotta be in the calendar for those there sometimes.
But I mean, he's somebody that I respect more than anybody else. Trust me, because I've known him we're in 2022. It's just about 10, 11 years now since I've known him. So he's definitely that person.
Sometimes we find something that really gives us, energy and really makes us want to do it. When you touch the track spikes and you put on the spikes, was there a race that you said, you know what, I think I got something here? right? Was there a race for you like that you said, you know what, this can go on the same way? Was there a race for you like that?
I don't know. I mean, it's always, for me, it's always to prove to myself that I can do something. Yeah. So it's always that's basically always my reason for going out and training, going out and compete. Okay, I can beat that guy. May not be today, but I'm gonna catch him next week or next month. But it's always the competitive vibe of the sport itself.
You talked about 2012. You talked about being in the back. You talked about being in the back. But what were those sessions like? Were you getting were you now able to see what it was like to run at a world-class pace? Now you can see that, right? Now, usually when you get in a certain environment, you're like, okay, this is what it takes. This is what I have to do. So when you started taking it seriously, right, did you have any mentors on the track that said, you know what, this is what you should do. Here's how to go about this, right? Did you have any of that for you when you first started taking it seriously?
Yeah, Nesta Carter for sure.
Solid dude.
He's definitely one person that I could say, like when I started like doing things seriously, even before I started it, he is always like being a motivator, like always, even to today.
Yeah. I think it's important, man, because Jamaican sprinting is tough. You guys are on a short leash in many different ways when it comes to it. No sport is not without its trials, right? And I want to talk about the. I think it was your first senior team in 2015 was the one you made, right? First one. Yeah. Walk me through a little bit about that year, man, because it didn't end the way how you exactly expected it to. And we'll get there. But like, 2015.
That's like 2020 reincarnated.
We're gonna get it. But let's talk about the good part of it first, because when you're coming up, everybody's just like, yo, I want to get that Jamaican gear, I want to get that senior gear, right? You get the senior gear. What was going through your head at that point? Did you start to feel? Was there ever a moment where you said, man, I'm proud of myself for this, or was it just another thing you expected for yourself?
There was a moment, like of like just sitting down, just thinking about what I've achieved, and like. But there, for me, is always like I'll sit down and think about all I've achieved, what I've done, and I'm like, I need to do more. Like, I need to get more done. This is not enough. And 2015, that was a weird year. First of all, as a matter of fact, 2018 was my weirdest year in track and field, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But 2015, I mean, I started off slow. I mean, I basically took my times down gradually until I got to the national trials, which got a PB in the finals, the semifinals, and then finished sixth, I think, in the finals.
Booked your spot.
Yeah, was enough. And I was for sure going to run in that heat in the 4x1.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I didn't make it to the track.
Let's go there because you get over to Beijing, right? And you start doing relay practice. And walk me through it, man. Because nobody ever wakes up expecting to be hurt, right? Nobody ever expects not to be hurt.
I mean, the thing is, I've been having some pain in my ankle for months.
Leading up there.
Yeah, leading to it was like probably from because I think Beijing was in what month? September or October?
October. It was late.
Yeah, it was late October. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yes, it was late October, and I was having pain in my ankle from like in mid-May. But that's the thing, the people keep on like different therapists, and even my coach was saying that it's just weak. I should just strengthen, yada yada yada. I mean, eventually when I got to Beijing and happiest day of my life. Woke up that morning,
ready,
did everything I needed to. I put my tights, my spikes, everything in the bag, getting ready to go out. Me and Nesto was in the same room at the time also. And when I got everything, got to the track, I mean, obviously I was in some sort of pain, but it was something I've been running on for like 3 months now. So I'm used to it. Mm. But after we warm up, then we're doing like a few passes, and we did one, which was perfect. So everybody was like, okay, yeah, that's it. We don't need to do any more. The coach at the time said, no, let's do one more. And
it's always one more.
Yeah. And then when I ran off, I just heard something pop. And like I could walk for like in that between when it happened for like 30 seconds, I was walking, but I was feeling like a little pinch in my ankle. But then I sat down and then I tried to get up and I could not stand on the foot again. And then they took me to the hospital and the doctor was telling me that I had a fracture in my ankle for like 3 months now.
So you're running on it.
So I was running on it because he was asking me, because the question he came with first, like, what are you made of? And I'm like, what? What do you mean? He said, you had a fracture in your ankle for over 3 months now. And I'm sure you've been running on this to get here. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you have a high pain tolerance. And I'm like, I just believe what others told me, that it was just a weak ankle. I mean, I was taking a lot of painkillers in the time, but yeah. And then 2016, I didn't start training again until March 2016, because I was in and out of the pool and I had to do a surgery for correction. So I didn't start training until March 2016, which most of the year was gone. I lost most of the weight in this leg because it was in a cast. So I had to rebuild that. So 2016 was basically a no show for me, even though I did run that year, but I didn't make the national team.
Tyquendo, before you continue, man, what was the hardest part about the process of that injury and the recovering of it? Because I don't think people tell you one side of sport sometimes, but they don't tell you about the other side of it, right? The other side of if you do get hurt and you're not getting as much attention and you're into rehab, and rehab looks the same every single day and all these things.
And it just seems like it don't make any sense.
How did you get through that?
Well, first of all, the hardest part for me was basically accepting the fact that it was just a freak accident. Because I was training all year. This is my moment. All I was running was an ankle leg. Jamaica had the best team by far. So I wasn't even going to do anything on that ankle leg. I was just going to finish. I was just going to stride through and finish. That was it.
You can even shut it down, huh?
Just shut it down. That was it. And I didn't even get to touch the track. Same thing with Tokyo. I went close to it by standing in the stands, but I didn't get to grace the track myself. But yeah, the hardest part was like just basically the acceptance of what happened and just try to move past it to focus on the following year.
2018, man, you said it was a weird year, and to others looking in, this on paper was one of your best years. It seemed like everything started to come together. You ran sub 10, you won J8 trials. There's always more to the story, man. So when you said it was a weird year, what did you mean by that?
So if you look enough into that year, you would have noticed that like before. So I ran, I think it was 8 100 meters before my national trials. Well, let's say before the last race before my national trials, I ran 8 races before that.
Yeah.
Every one of them was slower than 10:4. And I was training hard. I was getting rest. I was doing what I needed to do. I was just running slow. Everybody else that I was training with was running their 10-1s, 10-0s. And before that last race, I said to my coach, this is going to be my final race for the season because something is wrong and I'm just going to focus on getting back for next year. And he said, okay, if that's what you want to do, fine. Because if that's how you feel, because we can't force you to do something you don't want to do. So if you want to just, but he said, just focus on this final race and try to get it right. I did. I ran 10:15 in that race. And I was like, whoa, let's hold on for a little bit more.
we gotta stretch this.
let's see where this goes. So when I came to training on the Monday, because I ran the Saturday, he said to me that, what are you doing here?
Because he thought you were done.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, let's keep it going. And that year, as I said, I ended up winning the national trials and winning World Cup. That was in London, NACAC, Continental Cup, and a couple other experiences. But that year was a really good year for me.
From almost shutting it down to winning JA trials, what did that feel like?
That was one of the teaching moments for me, to tell me that, to basically show me that I should never give up until it's over. Never give up. Never say, nah, I can't do it. Continue until the end. At the end, if it didn't work out, it just didn't work out. Because trust me, if I had shut down my season after that one, who knows? I probably wouldn't have even come back for the other season. So
yeah. What when you won, you became champion. Now your name is known. What changed for you? Did anything change?
Not really. I mean, more people got to know me. I got a lot of experience. I got to travel. I ran in my first couple of diamond leagues, world challenges. But it would basically be like the experiences for me that really changed.
2020, right? Supposed to be the Olympic Games, but it got postponed a little bit. You know, I had Julian on last season, and he told me about his experience dealing with the pandemic and just navigating through that. But what was it like for you during that time? Because when we first got the news that things were not going, what was going through your head?
I was like, it's a holiday.
I'm not mad at it.
I was like, this is gonna be my longest holiday. that's like because I was at Tumbleweed at the time, and I said to the coach that being that things are gonna be the way they are, and this was, I think, in June. I said, I'm gonna go back to Jamaica. I'm gonna train and just finish the rest of the season there, because I think there was no meets in America at the time.
Yeah.
And in Jamaica, they had meets from time to time. So I was like, I could run at meets, but listen, when I came home, I was in flats every day. No spikes. I competed, I think, twice. And I mean, that was it. After the first time I ran 100, I think it was like 10-2 or 10-3 that year. And then I ran 10-2 and 10-2 afterwards. And then that was it. I was like, that's a season. Holiday. Let's do something with my life and get back for next season. So yeah.
You know, throughout the conversation, even with certain injuries and certain things that have came, it seems like you've always been an optimistic guy from nature. Where does that come from? Your outlook and your perspective? Is that from things you learned in the early stages of your life growing up? Or is it just embedded in you to always expect good things to come? Because a lot of people don't really expect good things to really come to them. They say it, but they don't really expect it. I feel like you expect it.
I do. For me, it's certain things kind of dawn on me if I think about it too much. So, for example, if I think too much that tomorrow's gonna be a bad day, I'm gonna wake up feeling like it's gonna be a bad day. I'm gonna go about the whole day feeling like something is gonna be wrong.
Yeah.
I just try to always look on the brighter side of things, what I can do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do have my moments when I'm like out of it. Like maybe I'll be like sitting and thinking that shit, this world is going to, like, everything is going wrong, and start thinking about the negatives. Like, but I've never been the person to do it for too long. I mean, maybe a couple of hours, maybe a day, but then after that, I try to keep myself in the jovial joy mood and always looking at the brighter side of things, because it makes no sense to always be looking in the dark. You're just going to blind yourself.
What helps pick you out of that mindset when, you know, because we all have those moods, right? There's 365 days in a year. Unless you're a robot, every day isn't going to be smooth, right? But what works for you that helps you get out of that feeling and that mood of what you're going through at the time?
I think is the fact that there's a lot of things that I want to achieve in life that I haven't gotten to as yet. So it's like I think about those a lot. I do. Like, even like, for example, last year, 2021, won my national trials. That whole celebration after, I was planning that like days before.
Yeah.
Listen, I even did a photo shoot for that meet for the ending of that. Cause listen, I told myself I am winning this regardless of what anyone else do. And I did.
You felt that.
And yeah, and trust me, for everything, every moment of that race, before and afterwards, I basically planned it because I know that that's what I really wanted. Yeah.
Tokyo, right? So we get over there, right? And it's hot. You know, you just won your second title, right? Big expectations for the Jamaican team. I was retired at this point, right? So now I'm just a spectator and I'm watching. I'm like, yo, Tracey running good. Like, yo, they got a squad over there. You get over there now. Walk me through it, man. Were you already feeling something leading up to it, or what was the situation like? Because a lot of people didn't really know, and many still don't know.
I had tendonitis in the back of both knees. Hard. I mean, it's annoying. I mean, when I'm fully warmed up in training, I mean, it's fine. Rub some heat on it and I'm good to go. But it was a really annoying injury. So it's basically inflammation of the tendon, and there's not much you can do to help it other than rest, which I can't really, because rest would mean missing days of training.
Yeah. And
yeah. But I was in the best shape of my life, man. Like, I remember like a few days before, I think it was like before I got hurt. So I did some starts, and coach was like, okay, so you have 100 meters, and I just needed to run like the first 30 meters, get up and just stride through the line. And when I did the first one, he said, okay, just go sit down. he said that was way too fast. and I was like, what do you mean? I was jogging.
Yeah, easy. I was smoothing.
And he was like, well, whatever that was, just go cool down and let's call it a day. Because the times that he wanted, it was way faster than it, even though I feel like I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
So I knew where I was. I knew what I could have done. And even in the moment when I actually got hurt on the track, I wasn't even in any pain. I just felt something just move like this in my leg. And I mean, that was it. I was like, I had to stop. I still have the video today. I could even find it and send it to you. I have the video. I have the video when I got hurt and I was walking and I was like, I just felt something. And then he said, okay, let's not do anymore. But the soreness in the hamstring started the day after. But the thing is, what was annoying is that I didn't do anything because I got hurt Thursday. Yeah. So didn't do anything on Friday. I just did some rehab, went to see some doctors, and they were saying that they wouldn't recommend me running, but I could possibly run. But there's a higher possibility that if I do, I'm going to cause some serious long-term injuries to the tendon. And then I was like, okay. So I went on the track to warm up for the heats. And then the best way I could describe it is like I was like doing some strides and I felt like somebody just boom with a knife. And I was like, nah, I can't run. This is not gonna work. And then I went, because I'm not one to like be just showing my emotions in front of everybody. So I walked away and I waved to my coach and he saw me walking because I was like a good distance away from him. So I went behind this tent and then I was sitting there and then, man, I just started crying.
Let me ask you, did you have the same feeling as you did in 2015?
No.
This was worse?
It was much worse. I was looking forward to more. 2015 was like my first senior team. Yeah, I was hyped. I was glad to be there, but I was just in the moment. I can't say it wasn't serious, but there wasn't as much expectation from myself or from others at that time, like last year. My God, it was a lot.
You got the news at the track and you're feeling it, but now you have to go back to the room, right? You go back to the room where now everything hits you. I remember I tore my quad in 2017 I tore my quad in 2015 and I had a great indoor season, ran 6:51. I was coming out. I opened up 10:0. I'm like, man, this is going to be a great year. And then I tore my quad. And I remember sitting with it, just thinking about the possibilities of what could have been and what it is right now. And I remember, man, tears coming down, this emotion of like, it's kind of like, if you're hungry and there's a fruit right there. And you can see the fruit and you're hungry, but like you try to grab it and it's like somebody take the fruit away from you and you're just left with this feeling. That's kind of how I felt. I want to talk about that feeling because I don't think men and as athletes, all athletes, women as well too, women do a better job of talking about their emotions, but what was going through that your head at that time? Because I'm sure you found yourself in a dark place.
So first of all, my face was messed up for like 2 to 3 days because of crying. But I remember walking back to the room. I was walking past like a room where the therapist and some of the coaches stayed together, and they weren't there. They were all at the track. But the door was open, and there was a bottle of liquor on the table, and I was like, you know what? This is mine. And I actually took that and I went, and I remember saying this to somebody, I understand why some people turn alcoholics.
Yes, absolutely. I understand.
And this is why I understand. In that moment, the thing I was drinking was like 40-50% of alcohol. And I could not taste it. I couldn't feel it. I was drinking it. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't taste it. That's how broken I was in that moment. And it's like I was saying to myself that heartbreak and mental break could really push people to do things that they don't even want to do, but it's just a comfort. Yeah. And it's like Julian Ford and Handsome Parchment, they were with me after a while. They came out because I was sitting outside. So they came out there, they sat beside me, one side on the right, one side on the left. And they were just talking. For the first 30 minutes, I heard nothing what they said.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, like I kind of started listening. And then, I stopped crying and I was there just sitting down and we were just talking. And then I told him I was going to take a shower. That didn't really help. I was in there for like another half an hour to an hour and a half tops, just sitting down in the hot water. Just it was a lot. And as I said, for a lot of things, that is another experience for me, because I can say I've seen a lot of people that people look down on and say, oh, he's a drug addict. Oh, he's an alcoholic. You don't know why. And I mean, you could try to distance yourself from them, fine, all you want, but don't look down on somebody. You've not been in their shoes. That could have been my last competition. Trust me, that could have been it. But honestly, I've always find myself as a really strong person to get past things. And more than anything, I know the feeling of satisfaction that I'm going to feel when I get past this and get into my future. It's going to be it's going to be, even if I'm not on top of the world, I'm going to feel satisfied because I know I got past it.
It's important for, us and for those that are going to listen. It's important to know that, man, like, even strong people get tired of being strong all the time. Even strong people break at times, right? So no person is as strong as they think they are by themselves. I'm going to ask you a dual question here. I saw this video on your Instagram where it was kind of like a surprise, right? It was after the games. It was kind of like a surprise.
Yeah.
And I don't quite remember who was in the video, but it was touching to me, right? Because I was just like, yo, that's unconditional support because they care about you, the person, right? Walk me through what that meant to you, because you're probably starting to pick yourself up a little bit more.
So most, if not all of those persons in that room right there are like people that I've known for years, people that have supported me for years, real good friends, all of them. And it was a moment that I could have gone back to my emotional self, but as I said, I don't like to show that part of me in public. My girlfriend was there. I mean, she's here, but Jesus, that was my Olympics. Like just what they did, I did not expect it, because how they organized everything. Because I was trying not to go because I wanted to stay home, and then they did what they needed to do to get me out of the house to actually go there, and it was a really heartwarming, heartfelt moment for me. Like one moment in my life I will always remember. Always.
Last question that I got here, Tyquendo. When has there ever been a time in your life, maybe recently, where maybe you're looking yourself in the mirror, or maybe you wake up and you just kind of maybe in a zone where you reflect, man, have you told yourself that you are proud of yourself in the last 28 years?
I think I did that 2 days ago.
What triggered that?
I was 2 days ago. It was Tuesday. That day when I posted the pictures with me laying on the track. Yeah. I was like, that was one of the first. I've been able to train throughout this injury, but that day I was able to give 120%. I mean, mind you, I almost died, but I don't think it was that extreme. But yeah, that's how I felt. But I was on the track and I was like, damn, I'm proud of myself. Like, and I even started saying, you know what? I really appreciate, like, God, I really appreciate what you've done for me, because I'm able to train. I'm putting myself through this, but at the end of the day, it's just going to last for like a couple hours. But I'm grateful that I'm still able to do this, because it could have been worse.
Let's close with this, Tyquendo, because that was great. There's someone that's going to be listening, man, and they're going through a tough time, right? They're trying to figure out a lot of different things in their life, trying to stay encouraged, trying to be positive, but it's tough, man. What is something that you would say to someone who is stuck in their own mind, trying to get out of it and trying to push towards a goal, dream, or aspiration? What is something that you would share with them that has helped you?
One thing I've always looked at over the years, and I've told a lot of people this, that nobody is the same. And what most people always do and hurt themselves, I've done it, is you look at other people's success, the people around you. And even in training, you're like, how can he run like that? How is he training so hard? Why can't I run 5 minutes in XYZ? Just focus on yourself. The more you focus on yourself is the more you will improve. And you may improve 10% and you're still not better than that guy. But at the end of the day, if you improve enough, you will get there. Because there are so many people that I was far behind them, and now I'm either beside them or in front of them. So everything takes time. Nobody's timeline is the same. And a lot of people set unrealistic goals, and when they don't achieve it, they're being hard on themselves. You can't do that. You just get up every day, do better than what you did yesterday, or try to do better than what you did yesterday. And people need to also understand, from a sportsman's perspective, that your body has times when it needs rest. So even though you feel like, oh, I'm putting on my all and it's not going, you just need to take a little time, take it down a notch, recover, and come back. You can't think about what others are doing. You have to focus on yourself. I used to do it, and that gave me a beating. Trust me. But now I'm just looking at me. Man, that's the only thing you can control.
There's a spirit and a presence about you, man. And regardless of whatever it is that you do and away from track, you're gonna be good, man. You know, that's something. Your perspective and your outlook, the lessons you've learned, man, is preparing you for something greater that God has in stores, man. So, you know, I'm supporting you, man. I'm rooting for you, man. Where is the best way for people to get in contact with you? Where are you most active?
Instagram, Tyquendo Tracey. All my platforms is Tyquendo Tracey. Thank God they gave me a name everybody don't use. So yeah, all my platforms.
It's always open.
Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But I'm mostly active on Instagram, so that one for sure.
Boss man, I appreciate your time, man. I'm going to be keeping a close look on how the season progresses, man. And as always, I'm here if anything, bro, whether you need to talk or whether you need to just catch a laugh, man. I believe in we as men need to do a better job of keeping ourselves supported, man. So always love, man. Have a good rest of your night, bro. Thanks again.
Thanks, man. You too.
All right.